Welcome back to the Drummer Mindset Podcast. I'm Joel Pereira. Today I'm releasing my episode with Rahm Mandelkorn. Rahm's been a part of the Asheville music scene for about over 23 years now. His passion project is Rahm Squad, which is definitely worth checking out. If you're catching this soon after it comes out, then you'll have a chance to see him at Eulogy coming up in a couple of weeks. I'll put the details in the description and in the bio. But super interesting guy. He has an interesting path in music. He's played with nearly half of all my guests. And so I thought it was fitting to find the guitarist that so many drummers get the opportunity to play with. He's very rhythmically minded and also a killer lead. So definitely I recommend checking him out. For one, the Rahm Squad show that's coming to Eulogy. And then also on Monday nights, you can catch him with Caromia, Danny Iannucci, Yahzay, and they just kill it every Monday. So, and like if you followed me for a while now, you know that those Monday nights have been a big part of my development as I'm revisiting drums now in this stage of life. So, anyway, I hope you enjoy. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, follow, leave a review. All those things really help out a lot. And enjoy. So you were a therapist, social worker.
I did more like nonprofit work with homeless folks, so less therapy. I did a little bit of that, but I was more managing.
Yeah, case management kind of stuff.
Case management, yeah.
Got it.
Helping house homeless people, yeah.
And so how long have you been in Asheville?
I moved to Asheville in 2000, went to undergrad at Warren Wilson, and then stuck around. Got into music, but then also went to grad school for social work at Western.
I gotcha.
And so that whole time I was doing music also. But yeah, I've been here since 2000, off and on. I've left a couple times for like a year. Traveled to India and Nepal for almost a year at one point. Spent some time in California.
Did you do that with Caromia?
We did now. Totally separate, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What drew you there?
All right, we'll go way into it quick. But yeah, I was raised in an ashram. So I grew up in like a spiritual community. There's an Indian guru there. My parents were into that stuff. Okay. So I was raised there until I was like 12 years old growing up. So I guess that culture and that whole, that philosophy, the Eastern stuff it's in my history and it's something I've been interested in. So I wanted to go check it out. I mean, that's probably the root of it. Okay. But, I've read Alan Watts and Ram Dass and all that stuff in high school, and that's ever since then I wanted to check it out.
Yeah, is that stuff that you keep up with?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, I feel like it's already part of my philosophy. Yeah, I try to meditate. I go to yoga. I do yoga a lot still, so I guess it is. But I'm a bit jaded on Eastern philosophy and Eastern culture in our society.
Yeah, because it's definitely in the zeitgeist, and like a lot of people, it's like popular psychology now, right?
Yes.
But and what about music? When did you start that?
I mean, I got interested in it when I was real young, and took some piano lessons and drums, but I think I only got serious in college. In high school, I was playing guitar and writing some songs and playing drums. Okay. But it was a hobby. It was fun. I liked it a lot, but I wasn't all in. And then in college, I fell in love with it and started playing every day and practicing, and really decided it's something I wanted to do with my life. So I feel like I started late, but I was already at least exposed to it and messing around before that.
But started late in a serious way.
Right.
I got it.
Yeah.
But you were taking drums, or you were playing drums.
Yeah, I was messing around on drums and guitar in high school. But that's kind of when I started, really, which these days I consider that late, starting in high school.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like after I've had these, a number of conversations with folks, and I think about starting at like 13 or 14, and I talked to so many other folks that start at like 3 and 4.
Totally.
You're like, oh, did I miss the bus?
Kind of, or at least you kind of get there later, I feel like. I mean, yeah,
it's
no one way,
but
effort,
maybe
it does seem that way. Yeah, we're definitely. I'm getting my daughter started right away. On. 2 years old. Yeah.
What is she into?
She sings all the time. We love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Play some piano. Yeah.
Nice. Do you play piano still?
Yeah, but not well. I didn't develop that voice too far, but yeah, I definitely still play. I play blues, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've been into your home studio.
Yeah.
Because I interviewed Caromia.
Right.
And y'all have like a little drum set there. So I was thinking maybe y'all just had that for other folks to play, but that legit is your drum set. Probably.
That's my drum set, but I don't play it as much as I'd like. When I go back there, I have limited time these days, so I'll usually work on guitar or songwriting before I'll work on drums. But yeah, I can play drums some.
Yeah. And these days, I mean, are you doing music full time?
No, I do real estate also. The last 2 years since I had my daughter.
Got it.
So
yeah.
But I still play professionally quite a bit. I play with a professional corporate wedding band, but then I have my own band, and I play with Caromia. I play a bunch of stuff around town.
Yeah. I see you out a lot, and I caught your gig on Mondays.
Yeah.
Downtown, on recommendation from a couple of different drummers that band, obviously had good drums, but everyone kind of played around it, and that was so true. I mean, and we were just talking a little bit about the role as rhythm guitarist versus lead guitarist and where you kind of find yourself, but it seems like everyone is really well meshed too. Even the folks that you have to sit in, for subs and stuff, like you got a good tight sound.
I hope that's true.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I love that project. Yeah, that's what we aim for. I want to think that's true. Usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you feel like playing the drums early helped you with your guitar?
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of feel like drums comes first before anything, really, for anybody. That's kind of my take on it. Having rhythm is the most important core element to being a good musician, in my opinion, really.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely it's helped. Absolutely.
And how do you think about drums, like when you write music these days?
I don't think there's any one way, but in general, for me, with writing, I'd say I usually start with drums. I'll either loop. I've spent a bunch of time kind of recording some of my favorite drummers, and I have a bunch of samples in my.
Like who?
Jaze, Uries, who you've probably met, and Phil Bronson's another guy.
Yeah.
I think I've done some with Micah around town.
Micah Thomas.
Yeah, Micah Thomas. So yeah, I have a sample library that I've created, and sometimes or at least with my last album, I remember that's how I wrote a bunch of those songs. I would start with a drum loop. I mean, also I have some of my own. I've recorded a bunch of my own too. And some of the newer stuff I'm going to put out are at least built off of a drum loop that I made.
And do you usually record these drummers like when you're doing a show with them, or you have them come over?
Yeah, I just have them come over to my studio and give them some ideas and some different tempos, and just sit there and record a bunch, and then later chop them up, and then use those samples to write over. That's definitely been a technique I've used a bunch over the last handful of years.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's it's definitely not the only way, and it's not how I always do it. Sometimes I'll write a chord progression first, and but yeah, I've done the drum sample thing a bunch.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah,
that's cool. There's so many apps out there now, and you can buy Yurt Rock, or maybe I'll leave out the names, but you can buy different apps,
right,
and programs that will give you loops that you can go off of. So that's cool though that you're able to capture some local drummers.
Yeah,
to get that for you.
And I get the right vibe. It's drummers I like, their style. It definitely helps.
Yeah.
Use Ableton too, though, program drums.
Right. How does it go? You've played with a lot of different drummers in this area. How is that approach? How do you figure out the vibe of somebody before you maybe start a project with them?
That's a good question. I mean, probably just seeing how they sound, seeing them play around town. That's how I met.
So going to see a lot of music.
Yeah, absolutely. They're meeting at jams. We haven't got into Claude Coleman yet. I played with him a bunch, and I was a fan of his band Ween for years. Right. So when I heard he moved to town, I actually he was playing this patio gig, and he was at the gig, and I went and met him, and he was like, "I'd love to play with you." I think Ween had just taken a break, so he asked me, but to me that was amazing, because he'd been someone I looked up to for years, and he was just at my random small gig and saying let's play some music. So
wow.
but I was already a fan of him and his drumming.
Sure.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Every person's been different, the way we met or the way it started, but
Right.
it's got to be somebody who you dig.
Yeah.
Or like yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's huge. So like obviously you go hear people, you play as much as you can, other people hear you, and it's just networking from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just finding that openness and yeah. For some reason I had this idea. I don't know. This is not you, but I just pictured you like recording folks as you go out and saying, I'm going to sample this. No.
I haven't done that yet, but it's not a bad idea. Yeah.
You could do it.
Totally.
So you've got how many different bands that you play with on a regular basis?
I mean, not too many these days, but I have my band called Rahm Squad. That's like kind of my passion project, and I put out my first album right before the pandemic. We played at Mothlight and sold it out. It was super great. I was super proud of that album, and I even had a tour booked. I was about to go out west and up north, and then the pandemic hit, so that kind of pumped the brakes.
Yeah.
So that's my main project. I have another pretty bigger show coming up that I just booked. It's gonna be sweet at Eulogy. I'm excited about, so that's fun. And then I play on Monday nights with Caromia and Danny Iannucci and Jaze. And I play in this wedding band called Emerald Empire. A bunch of like corporate and wedding gigs.
Sure.
And I got the Below the Baseline.
What is that one? I'm not aware.
The Below the Baseline gig. That's with some of the guys from Empire Strikes Brass, and we
Okay.
do a bunch of like Ernest Ranglin. You familiar with him? He's like a Jamaican jazz guitar player.
Oh, okay.
Famous from like the 60s and 70s, but he's been on like everything. I mean, he's still playing today, but we kind of do a tribute to a lot of his music in that band.
Nice.
We've been doing that for years, off and on.
Uh-huh.
I mean, those are my main ones, and then I'll go sit in here and there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And is that with like kind of the rhythm section of Empire? So
Yeah.
like Nick Hope.
Yep, Nick Hope,
JP.
Lenny, JP, yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then sometimes we'll have like horns with us.
Uh-huh. Nice.
Yeah. And then, play with play with Adam Chase recently, and
That was great.
Jay Lloyd a little bit. I forget what that project was called that I saw you.
Mashup or
The reggae one, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot
Anyway.
of projects.
Try to stay busy, yeah.
Yeah. Do you get the sense that there's more and more musicians moving here?
Yeah, it feels that way, but it's always been a vibrant music town.
Okay.
I feel like I'm one step back, although I'm still staying pretty busy and playing, but I'm not quite as eager to go play every night of the week like I used to be. And now I pick and choose a little more, but I'm a little more intentional about it. So I'm a little less on the scene, but I'm still staying busy, pretty busy.
Yeah, since growing the family and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
About how long did you play, or shoot to play nightly?
How long was I doing that?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I ever did nightly, but yeah, I guess I would definitely do 4 or 5 nights a week at one point. A few years at least, 3 or 4 years. Yeah. But I was even doing like social work during that same time. At least at some point they were crossed over, and it's burned me out,
Yeah. Crossing over just because of the time commitment.
Yeah, absolutely. And this the energy and it takes to do that type of work and then go out and play gigs every night.
Right.
You can probably relate with that a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes with that kind of work, you can definitely get involved, and I mean, burnout is a thing.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
And I mean, it's such a thing that it's become like there's a whole coaching industry on preventing burnout, and especially after pandemic and stuff. I mean, we had a huge exodus of mental health providers, medical providers, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I found for myself in that kind of burnout was just a lack of creative endeavors. Like it was mostly like for me, just talking about myself now.
Yeah.
But mostly it was like mountain biking, and then work, and then family. And what I realized, like what was missing from all that was just there was no kind of creative endeavor. For me, I find that I need that. Like I need to have some big ideas that are coming through that I can kind of channel.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I can relate with that.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Pretty important. You get depressing without that,
Yeah. Yeah. And also it's what I found too, and since I kind of committed to going to see more music and meeting folks and kind of starting the podcast project too, is like musicians, more than a lot of folks that I know or I've met or interacted with, like when you have an idea, it can be some of the most encouraging folks to kind of bounce ideas off of. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The community of musicians is it?
Yeah, community. Yeah, and I think too for the musicians, it seems to me that like play often, they have carved out that time to make sure that they're doing that.
Yeah.
Right, and so that they're allowing that flow to kind of come through. So you find a little bit less resistance where. In some other cases, you know, you can find your own resistance that comes from within, or maybe people that say, you know, podcasts, they're kind of saturated, right? Like, why would you start a podcast kind of a thing? Or
yeah.
Whatever it is. Or like, oh, you play the drums. Well, are you as good as such and such?
Yeah.
You know, or all these kinds of things. And it's like, this is not, you know.
It's not what it's about.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And I've definitely found for me, it's you have to prioritize that. It'll make you happier and live like, you know, a more intentional, thoughtful life. I don't know. It's definitely important. You know, I've figured that out through the year. I think I've always known, but I'm very clear about it these days, you know.
Social work for you, I mean, that's not typically a side hustle.
Yeah. Well, it definitely wasn't a side hustle, but it burned me out. I'm just not doing it these days, but I did it for years. Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't a side hustle. No, I mean, I did it full time for a bunch of years.
Right, and you also had music going on at the same time.
I did,
so that was always kind of an idea for you. Is like keep that going, but also have like a profession.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not even sure how I balanced it when I was really doing them both full on. But it burned me out eventually, and I'd rather do music for now. It's still, you know, I still have the degree. Maybe one day I'll get back into it down the road, but.
Right.
For now, I'm taking a breather on that part, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, tell me about Rahm Squad a little bit. I've only been able to catch y'all once, and it was like y'all did a collaboration with Justin Ray.
Oh yeah, right.
Jumbo,
yeah,
which was awesome.
Thanks.
What like do you have like a main characters that are in that band with you typically, or how does that go?
I mean, there's been a couple different iterations. So the answer is not really, but I have a couple different like rhythm sections I've worked with over the years that I really like, and I'm tending to work with them. Like, so this next gig I have Asher and Logan on the bass and drums. Asher Hill, he's great bass player. He plays around town with a bunch of folks, and then Logan, you know.
Yeah.
And I've done some work with both of them before, including touring. We did some Colorado run with Logan. But prior to that, I had Jaze Uries and Elon on, you know, have you met Elon yet?
Oh, yeah.
But so, yeah, I mean, the spirit of that is just, it's me developing my songwriting, and then trying to blend that with like funk, soul, jazz music that I've been like, you know, obsessed with for years, and trying to combine those in like world music. And that's what that project is. It's like my songs, but with great players and like kind of trying to do the indie songwriting thing, but like mix it with groovy, funky music. That's what I'm up to. That's what that project is.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and what I like too about at least the drummers that you just mentioned is that they're just so good, but also so different too.
That's true.
And the texture they provide or kind of what they contribute. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
I mean,
keep you on your toes.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I feel like the songs are usually pretty well written, or I'll write them with them, so it's not like we're just improvising up there. At least with that project, it's not. There's a couple sections of songs where we'll improvise, but it's pretty well laid out what we're up to, you know. Like when you saw us with Justin Ray, that was less of my original stuff and more playing jazz tunes or like calling tunes, which was cool, but that's a little bit less Rahm Squad, you know, than what I usually do when I do one of my shows. Yeah. Got it.
So you got.
But he's actually going to be on this next show. Him and Jacob Rodriguez are going to be playing horns.
Yeah,
so yeah, I've never done that yet, but that's exciting.
Yeah.
But it'll be like charted out.
Yeah.
Horn lines. We're not just jamming, you know.
And Jacob's been here a long time. Have you known him for a long time?
Yeah.
That's what I hear anyway. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I have. He's a great dude.
Yeah.
Obviously, total badass. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about like you know, clearly you mentioned like the burnout and stuff, and you kind of navigated that. It was just you were able to just kind of check in and see like music's got to be here.
Yeah.
Give that a break.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like part of what spurred that is I was burned out on social work, and then it was at that time I was playing with Claude Coleman Jr. From Ween, and he had a band called Amandla, his own side project, not Ween, and he took us on tour, so we like toured all over the country together.
So you
so
were
that
playing
was like
with his band, or you would open?
I was playing with his band, playing guitar in his band, and Jaze was actually on drums. Claude was singing lead. It was like these are like Claude's songs.
Okay.
So that was like a good excuse to, I don't know, maybe that inspired me to take a break, or that was a good timing. Not that it like paid that amazing, but he did pay as well. And
yeah,
it was probably the most professional tour I've ever been on. Where we really get treated real good, and all the shows are packed with people. Yeah, they have manager and stay in nice hotels.
Yeah,
so that was cool.
Do you usually play that role, or have you in the past? Like you kind of manage your own tour and or bookings?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I've got a little help here and there, but in general, yeah, real DIY.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah. But I would imagine too, like with your experience in case management, logistics, all that kind of stuff, it might have helped.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I booked several tours down to like the Virgin Islands over the years. It took a bunch of logistics, and I felt I was good at it, but I've never enjoyed that role.
Sure.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice when you find folks that are good at that stuff.
Totally.
That enjoy it,
Yeah.
That's kind of unbelievable sometimes.
Yeah.
Part of this project was me kind of finding my way into music again and kind of overcoming some blocks, and also like learning again and trying to like bring back some chops and whatnot.
Okay.
Do you find anything maybe on a like physical practice, mental practice, or whatever in your playing these days? Like if you're trying to learn new chops, or if you're just developing old skills or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there. I say one thing for guitar, at least, that I've finally committed to, and I've heard like some of my heroes talk about, like Schofield, but just making sure you touch the instrument every day. Like, don't miss a day ever, even if you don't have a lot of time. And you don't have to play for an hour. I mean, it's cool if you can, but like, don't ever miss a day. And I've finally gotten to that where it's really important to me. Even if I had a big long day, and I'll still go sit. I might not even plug the guitar in, but I'll sit and play for 20 minutes and just make sure I'm just keeping that language like going, so that's been helpful. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's specific things for guitar that probably it wouldn't be the same for drums, but like playing to a drone, keeping a drone on where it's just like one chord or one note, and letting that go to then explore around. That's something I've gotten into recently that's really helped open doors for me.
It, like through the electric guitar? What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff on Spotify or on YouTube. You can find these tracks, but it's like, or like, I forget, what is it called in India where they have the the droney. What is that called? You can. That's cool. But it's basically, you're just droning a chord or a note, and you're exploring tones in that family, in that. Yeah. So with the guitar, it's been super helpful, honestly. I've gotten into that the last year, doing that quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to think about if there would be
what would be an equivalent to that.
Right. Yeah. And I think I would say this, like in a lot of cases, like we might go with an idiom, right? Like, so maybe it's some kind of, you're doing a clave, or you're doing some kind of rhythm that's ongoing, and then you can kind of see how you can comp over that in different ways. That might be something.
Do you ever do that?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. It's not something. It's
not part of your regular.
It's not part of the regular thing, and that's another piece too. Like, I think it's interesting. So if you've got 20 minutes, like it sounds like yours is like, nose to the grindstone, kind of like working out this technique or exploration in this way. Where I'm coming from is that I know for me and a lot of drummers, if we've got 10 to 15 minutes, you might sit down and kind of fall into a rut of just playing the same rhythm that you always kind of get into. And so something I've been trying to do more of is, and maybe this is more equivalent, but a hi-hat, right? So just working on my eighth notes on my hi-hat foot, and just doing that, or quarter note, as opposed to just hitting the 2 and the 4, or maybe the 1 and the 3.
Yeah.
But really trying to keep that going in a way just to exercise it. And then also pure improv, where it's like you just it's almost like a meditation practice where you try to forget all idioms that you usually go with.
Right.
You forget all rhythm, and you just go with whatever comes out.
Yeah. I love that idea. I mean, I don't do that enough, but that's cool. I think like switching instruments can help with that. If you like play something you're not used to playing, and you just have to create something that sounds good on it. I feel like that's useful for songwriting. I've learned that. Like if I try to write on a piano instead of a guitar, and I can do some stuff on a piano, but I don't sit around and play it all the time.
Right.
I'll write something totally different. It's not my normal, and often it'll be cool.
Yeah.
Not always, but it's like it kind of like makes you more sensitive or just creative in a different way or something.
Yeah. Totally. There was something else you had said. It sounds like you will stick to maybe more technical aspects. Do you find any ruts that you try to have to avoid at all?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think kind of like what you just said. I will bounce around sometimes to too many ideas. I think it's having the discipline of like, all right, like for this, and I haven't figured out what the answer is for this month or for this 4 months. I'm going to work on these 3 ideas and really get good at them instead of like being like, all right, now I'm going to work on this, then this, so I haven't figured that out yet. I try to hone in and just keep it a few concepts at a time until I feel like I don't even want to say mastered them, but, got them under my hands well. Mm-hmm. So knowing, where to put the limits, I'm still figuring that out, but that's a important one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one, I'm sure you thought about this, but like you've got a young kid, and they might be too young at this point, but like, do you, in thinking about introducing music to them, like no doubt it's all around them.
Yeah.
Right. Because you and your partner are musical folks. Do you have any ideas at this point about lessons for your kid or?
No, we're not there yet, but we definitely agree that exposing her and like, encouraging her, that's where we're at. And she sings all the time. We try to play, me in particular, try to play like music that's not just little kid music and get her excited about it. And that's working. So nice. I like that. But yeah, I mean, I think drumming first, honestly, and I do that with her already. We mess around on like a hand drum and even the drums that'll get her to hit it. So drumming and some like piano, those to me are the most important in her first handful of years.
Yeah.
And we have that stuff around the house, and we're already introducing her, but I haven't thought about like formal lessons yet.
Yeah.
I'm not,
well, both. Yeah. At this point, it'd be a little young, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think those specifically too, because like with drums and piano specifically, like it helps develop so much the what's going on with the kid.
Yeah, I just feel like if you get that stuff in you in your developmental phase, and it's just like in your unconscious, just like rhythm and melody, you're gonna be set.
Yeah.
If she wants to do music, which it's whatever.
Were your parents big music fans?
No, but they were into it. But no, I feel like I kind of started late, but still, like my dad, I think taught me my first chords on like a ukulele when I was like 8 or 9. I kind of have those memories. So I mean, they got me into stuff. He loved like Bob Dylan. He's a Bob Dylan dude.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some cool stuff, but I wouldn't say they were like way into music.
Right.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah.
And my grandpa built beautiful guitars. He was like a badass guitar. He studied with Segovia. Okay. He was like a crazy badass classical guitar guy.
Wow.
But I like barely knew him. He died when I was pretty young.
Yeah.
So it's in my lineage to some degree.
Yeah, it's interesting how that comes up, like it's got to mean something.
Yeah, it does. I have a couple of his guitars. I mean, I have some cool memories when I was little, but I never got to like hang out with him and play guitar or like see how he built guitars. I wish I had,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know Mike Holstein?
Absolutely, yeah. Great dude. Played some gigs with him over the years.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought about him because he builds a lot of guitars these days too.
I didn't even know that part. Oh, crazy. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and I don't know the names of the luthiers and stuff, but he did studied it
crazy
intently.
I had no idea.
And I mean, he builds a lot of like 7-string guitars and stuff.
Cool.
And whatnot, but
electric, acoustic.
Both.
Okay, interesting.
I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't know that part of his story. I know he's a heady badass, but
yeah, you gotta. But if you get a chance.
Cool, yeah.
Go check out his shop, dude. It's like, kind of feel like you're in a wizard's lair or something. Like
okay, cool.
he's like building his own drums, and he's building his own guitars, and he's just got all different kinds of instruments lined in his like
Crazy.
hallways and like
Whoa.
in his studio and stuff. And then he's also playing with like, you know, a Lynn instrument and like just synths and all that kind of stuff. But so you play a good bit of jazz guitar too, like you said. Schofield is
I fake it, yeah,
famous,
but yeah, for sure. I've been faking it for years, so I'm slowly getting some stuff down. But I never went to like formal school. You know, I took a couple Berkeley classes online that helped, and then I've just been learning tunes here and there throughout the years. But
do you feel like it's it would be helpful if you had or went to school for it?
Yes, I do, but I'm not like, I've picked up stuff throughout the years, and I still am, and I don't want to be just like a straight ahead jazz player, but yeah, for sure. If I gone, I think it would be helpful for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't consider myself like a jazz guitar player. I just think it has influenced my approach. You know?
Yeah.
I've really been influenced by like world music too. You know, it's like, not that I've studied deeply, but just listened to a lot of Cuban stuff, and then like the Turog music, you know, like the Northern African stuff. I love that style and that approach, and I've stolen licks from those guys as well, you know.
Sure.
The rhythmic stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I could hear that in Sojourn, like your album. That was so good and so well mixed and produced.
Yeah.
And how much of that, like?
I mean, the guy who mixed it, I really am a fan of. His name's John Ashley. He was living in L.A. Well, he was originally in Asheville, but he's in L.A. When he mixed it, we kind of did it remotely, went back and forth a bunch, but he's done all sorts of cool stuff. He did like War on Drugs and Sylvanesso, and really accomplished, great mixer, you know, audio. So yeah, I mixed it with him, but I recorded it here in town, and then did a bunch of it at my home studio too, like the horns and the vocals and some of the guitar solos. I did it at my house. So it's kind of bounced around from several places. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that all came together pretty easily.
Yeah. I mean, it was
cool.
it was a lot of work, but yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It was smooth, but took a year or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But and this was not the first album you had, though.
It was my first one under my own moniker, where I wrote all the lyrics and kind of like made all the decisions, although people definitely had input, but you know what I mean? It was like, I produced it for sure.
Yeah.
But I've done, a bunch of albums before in different bands, but this is definitely the first time where I'm like, I'm doing my album, my music,
Do you feel like you want to do that more?
Yeah, absolutely. I got some new stuff I'm going to put out soon. I'll probably release a single or two for this next show I got coming up. It's been a minute. It's been on the side burner since I had my daughter and kind of got another career going on at the same time. So
Sure.
So yeah, I'm excited about this upcoming one. It's been a minute since I've, promoted and like done a full on Rahm Squad show.
Yeah.
So it'll be cool.
With Real Estate, do you feel like it kind of melds in with your music endeavors well, as far as the time?
Yeah. So far it's been great. Because you can kind of pick and choose your hours. Unless you get busy, which is a good thing. So
Right.
But yeah, I'm really happy I got into it. It's good.
Nice.
Hand in hand, it works well. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, in that job too, you're dealing with a lot of anxiety from folks sometimes, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, this depends on the
Big
situation.
Life choices.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah.
How far out is your show at Eulogy?
It's February 3rd.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Rahm Squad will be the headliner. Then I got Sugar Bomb, which is a band with some local guys, Eli and Jacob Bruner's in it, and Joe Enright on drums.
Oh yeah.
So that's their trio, and then Caromia's older band called Goldie and the Screamers. They're gonna play too.
Oh, so you're gonna have 3 acts?
3 bands. They're gonna both do like 45-minute sets, and then we're gonna do like hour and 20 minutes.
Can you talk about your lineup? Do you know who you're gonna have?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it with Logan on drums, Asher Hill on bass, and then I got the horn section is going to be Jacob Rodriguez and Justin Ray. And I think I'm going to have Tyler Householder on percussion.
Awesome.
And that's it so far. We'll see if I add anything else, but that's the lineup for now. Caromia will sing some vocals with me too. Yeah, she'll be
nice.
A bunch of the tunes have like harmonies.
Tell me a little bit about that, like how you choose the different elements that you want in the band. I
mean, I guess for like auxiliary percussion, I'm I grew up playing hand drums and percussion, and I love world music. So it's like often when I write, I'll even have a sample or a loop of some of that in there. So that's what I hear when I'm writing my own stuff. I like the like.
And Tyler's so good too.
Yeah, he's great. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be somebody tasteful who
Yeah.
knows what they're doing, which
He's got a lot
he
of taste.
is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it just adds another texture or element that I want in my music. You know, it's like groovy, vibey. You know.
Yeah, and so I imagine like with your eclectic taste, like it's almost like you could be bringing in a lot of different people and a lot of different instruments.
It's true, yeah, and that's definitely my vision with this band is to book other shows and hire different people. You know, like have cool songs that I write and be able to play them with different people. That's part of my vision with my project. You know,
if you care to talk, and obviously you don't have to at all, but like financially speaking, like how does it come down to like, does that have an effect too on like who you bring in?
Yeah, I mean it will. In general, usually it's people who like my music enough that they want to do it. You know, I'll guarantee something reasonable, and then if we make more, I'll pay people more. That's the gist of it. You know, I'm not taking this band on the road touring all over the country. If I was doing that, we'd probably have a different conversation about it. I'm not quite sure. I'd probably have to invest some up front, which I think that's normal these days. A lot of bands will go on a tour and not make money for the first few years or the first few times, you know, but that's not really what I'm trying to do right now with this project. So, yeah, everyone will get paid well for this one, I'll bet, you know, but it depends on the situation.
Cool.
Yeah.
What are you listening to these days?
That's a good question. Let's think. I go through phases, man. I don't know. I've been listening to like podcasts.
Oh yeah? What kind of podcasts are you listening to?
I listen to like comedy, and I listen to like political stuff. You know, we probably shouldn't get into all that right now. But.
Right. No, that's fine. It's kind of a break from
I go through phases,
maybe.
man. Yeah. I don't know if that's how you work too. I'll definitely get obsessed with music sometimes and be listening to it like constantly, or like certain bands, and then sometimes I won't be listening much at all. I go through cycles, like personally, yeah.
One of the things that I've been trying to do lately, like I've been recording a few more covers just to kind of have something to put out there as I start to like try to enter, you know, maybe the gigging situation or find myself in more musical situations.
Yeah.
And so there's certain songs that I love or songs maybe that I haven't visited in a long time. And I'll go through, and typically I would usually try to find some tabs on it or something like that. Or I would sit there and I would just try to count it out.
For playing drums or playing guitar?
For drums.
Okay.
So I'll try to count out the meter and everything and kind of figure it all out from there. And like I've been doing it kind of old school with staff paper and everything.
Nice, yeah.
And but I've been told about some, you know, obviously some better ways to do it. Potentially, you can kind of slow down the songs now. You can really kind of count it out in a easier fashion to transcribe it. But then also like. Lately, what I've been doing is just listening to the same song over and over, ad nauseum.
Yeah.
Really, like
just to get it ingrained.
I hate doing it because it's songs that I love, and I don't want to turn it more into work.
Yeah.
But now I'm trying to get to the point where I can sing or hum kind of the melody. And that's the thing. Like if it's got lyrics, then that makes it easier because then I can just kind of like learn the lyrics and then learn the hits that kind of emphasize the lyrics when they're supposed to.
Sure.
But like Jack Wilkins, like lately, I've been listening to just Red Clay.
Hell yeah.
Hubbard's song, but Wilkins doing it. I think on both recordings it's Lenny White on drums, who I've been just like fascinated with lately. He's been in my top 3 for the past 6 months or so.
Hell yeah.
And so, but you know, it's all instrumental. So now I find myself like learning the guitar part, just humming the guitar part while I play. But it's more
helps you know
difficult.
when to like emphasize.
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you listen to Idris Muhammad at all?
Uh-uh.
Oh man, you gotta check him out. The drummer who played with Ernest Ranglin. You gotta. I've
heard that name before, but
Idris Muhammad, yeah. And he played with Grant Green a lot. I mean, he's done all sorts of stuff, but those two particular projects, so funky and so dope. One of my favorite drummers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I've got to dive into that. But I also found myself getting stuck because I've been listening to a lot of Micaiah McCraven. I don't know if you know who that is.
I feel like you recently posted something and I saw it, and then it's just dope.
Yeah. And what I found, like, the frustrating thing was, like, as I was like trying to learn that stuff, and then I learned like his loops. So he'll like go out
Yeah.
to a show, and he was doing this in Chicago for a long time for recording a couple of albums. He had like 3 albums back to back each year from like 2019 to 2022 or so.
Okay.
And like he and so he would record 6 different nights, and then he'd come back and loop them all together and like layer them.
Whoa.
And so like as the drummer, I was like, what the fuck is going on, you know?
I don't know, he's playing over himself. Yeah.
Some of it, yeah. But then I think he also goes through, and that's how he writes it and then learns it, and then he'll end up doing that for the show somehow.
Interesting.
Everyone plays
And
percussion.
he's playing in the same beat. I mean, the same time.
Yeah.
Like beats per minute.
Yeah. Same
Somehow.
tempos.
Yeah, tempo. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Crazy.
then, or he'll get down
Or
and
he
he'll
like
slow
goes-
him down too. Yeah. He'll do the whole thing. 'Cause
Yeah, I've never heard of that
He was
approach.
heavily influenced by hip hop, you know. So like
Okay.
he talks about a lot about James DeWitt Yancey, you know, Jay Dilla and stuff
Yeah.
like that on his influences. But it's cool because you see like it's always been obvious how much jazz influences hip hop, but it's cool to see it happen the other direction too, you know.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, definitely worth checking out. He gets some killer guitarists on his tracks too.
Cool.
Everybody's really good. But yeah, so I kind of got into trouble like trying to figure it out just the old school way for that, and then realizing, oh, okay, I just need to track myself over 3 times, and then maybe that'll hit it.
Blend them, yeah, man.
Yeah. So do you still play drums?
Occasionally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have people play.
Okay.
If you're feeling up to it, you don't have to.
I'd rather play guitar.
I hear you.
Not on camera, bro.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, man, thanks for coming to
Yeah.
chat.
Thanks
been
for having
great.
me, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely.
For real.
So that was Rahm and me just talking about music and how he approaches rhythm and playing with drummers and choosing drummers for his various projects. So I hope you enjoyed. The album that he put out in 2020 is called Sojourn. I'm going to put links to the Spotify and also Apple Music and other things in the description. Definitely check it out. It's well produced. He's got some killer drums on there, and everyone on that is just killer. If you catch him on Monday, a lot of times they will play his original tunes from that. So if you live in Asheville or you are visiting in early February, Rahm Squad will be playing at Eulogy with Sugar Bomb and Balm. And they're all just incredible. He's being supported by Logan Jane, who's just a ripper on the drums. And then also Joe Enright's playing with Sugar Bomb. And so it's just going to be a really killer show. And it's a great venue if you haven't been there yet. So definitely go support live music. And I'll see you out there. And otherwise, let me know in the comments, you know, what you think of the show. And if you have any recommendations for drummers you think are awesome, let me know. And take care, and I'll see you for the next one.